No one in the village knew the source of Balarabe's suya except for Amara. She watched as Bola brought out the body from his giant fridge, placed it on a table, and started cutting. She was terrified and moved backwards to run out of Bola's house, but a plate fell down making a sound. Bola ran to see who just found out the secret, and it appeared to be his lover, Amara. In a town called Umeus, lived peaceful and friendly people. The people were known for their undying zeal towards their various businesses. Various people came into the town to buy and sell. And since the people of Umeus were very friendly and welcoming, they welcomed everyone that came to buy and sell. Among the people that came to sell in Umeus was Balarabe, a very gentle and easygoing man. He was so gentle, never talked much except his marketing to his customers. The people of Umeus loved Balarabe so much and they loved the suya more. Every time they passed his shop, they were welcomed by the aroma of sizzling beef that pulled people like ants to sugar. The people loved the suya so much. It was delicious, spicy, soft, and very addictive. The people knew there was one secret ingredient Bola had in his suya, but they never guessed right. Balarabe had so many competitors because of his suya ever since he came into the town several years ago. The people abandoned their old suya vendors and made him their favorite. The old vendors were angry, but when they tasted his suya they knew why the people chose him. They tried all they could to know his secret recipe, but they never did. They were also bothered about the price. Apart from the fact that Bola's suya was so sweet and soft, it was so cheap. People began calling other vendors greedy and selfish. Most suya vendors left the business because everyone was buying from Balarabe. Coming to Umeus was the best decision he ever made. In his former village he never made sales like here. In Umeus, his sales rose like never before. People from far and near came to taste the famous Balarabe suya. Soon his business grew so much he expanded. He hired workers, though he never allowed them to touch his meat cutting or cooking. That made some workers suspicious. One stubborn worker, Chaik, was bent on following Bola to the market. One morning, he sneaked into Bola's house and saw him cutting meat too early. But what he saw terrified him. Bola got angry, shouted at him, and fired him instantly. Chaik later told his new boss, Okafor, owner of the second best suya spot. Okafor suspected Bola had secrets but had no proof. Then came the chief's birthday. Everyone gathered, eating and dancing. Balarabe was hired to make suya that day. But a strange thing happened. People claimed they saw something like a human tooth inside the suya. They dragged him before the chief. Crying, Balarabe said it was a setup by jealous competitors. The people forgave him, but Okafor never believed his story.
A year later, Bala fell in love with Amara, the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. He showered her with gifts and love, but never allowed her into his house. He always said, "My house smells like rotten meat." One day, Amara stole his key and entered secretly. She hid in a corner and watched in horror as Balarabe opened his giant fridge and pulled out a human arm and head. Inside were skulls, legs, and hands. She cried silently, regretting ever falling in love with him. But when she moved, something fell and Bala caught her. Terrified, Amara escaped and ran to Okafor's house, telling him everything. Together with his men, they rushed to Balarabe's home. Inside, they found piles of human heads, bones, and skeletons. Bala confessed, he had been luring homeless people with promises of food and shelter, only to use them as meat for his suya. The villagers were shocked. They had been having human flesh for years. Balarabe was arrested and sentenced to life imprisonment. From that day, suya was banned in the town of Umeus.